The down forward 1 is one of, if not the most important tool in Tekken 8. Your core gameplay and your core neutral game, how you open up your opponent, will revolve a lot around the down forward 1, well, at least depending on your character. Its use cases are just so many and so freaking strong. You can use it to probe your opponent, you can use it to check your opponent, you can use it to study your opponent, bait your opponent, use it as a mix-up in so many different use cases depending on the character as well. Just a few examples of why down forward 1s are so important in your gameplay and why you should always, and I mean always, utilize them in your gameplay in general. So in this video, boys, I'm going to talk about what makes down forward 1 so important, its many use cases, and why you should always utilize your down forward 1. Now, I did make a video on this about 2 days ago. However, I summarized the down forward 1 use cases. In this guide, I want to fully go in on what makes down forward 1s so good. So let's first talk about Lee, because Lee is one of the few characters in the game that has a normal standard down forward 1 without any other extensions. Tekken has kind of evolved in a sense where almost every single character now has extensions from down forward 1. Now, of course, Lee does have down forward 1-1, but this leads into his 10-hit combo, which is not really like meta. You won't see any Lee players use this in neutral unless you're trying to end a round. Okay, so that aside, I digress. I apologize. Okay. So down forward 1 has so many use cases. Let me first talk about the most important one, in my opinion, which is its use to study your opponent, which I did talk about in my previous video as well, but I'll touch on that again. So you're studying your opponent and seeing what they do after you throw out a down forward 1. This is very good because down forward 1s are like the only tools in the game that are super lenient in terms of frame data, in a sense that you can throw it out and still have enough frames to move afterwards, right? Enough frames to step, enough frames to backdash as well. They're the only tools, at least one of the only tools. Some characters have other stuff that are like super decent in terms of being like a down forward 1, but they are so rare, right? They're so rare. Having just a quick 13 frame mid, that's like -1, 2, -3 on block. There are very few tools like this, and that's why down forward 1s are so good. So think of it like a plus frame move that really isn't plus, but gives both of you an advantage because they're still in the neutral. Basically, it's no one's advantage when you throw out a down forward 1. Yes, you are -1, but -1 is only 1 frame off to being 0 on block, which is regarded as neutral in this game. So you can still move, you can still do stuff you could do if you're a 0 on block. Basically, not everything like, you know, super tight frame traps, like, you know, a 10 frame frame trap, but most of the stuff that you can do 0 on block, you can do at -1 or -3 on block, and that's what makes down forward 1 super strong. The standard of having a good down forward 1 in this game is 13 frames fast and -1 on block, or 13 frames fast or -3 on block. So Lee here is one of the best characters in the game with a good down forward 1, -1. Leo, I believe, is -1 as well, maybe even Lily, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are characters that have horrible down forward 1s, like DF1, for example, and Leroy. These down forward 1s are -6 on block. These are regarded bad because you don't really have that many frames to work with after down forward 1. This is basically, so let's say you do down forward 1 and your opponent jabs afterwards. That jab from your opponent will now come out at 4 frames, basically a 4 frame jab, because you are -6. So you don't have the freedom to step or backdash or move in general after throwing out a down forward 1, because the frame data is not as good as a character like Lee, who has a -1 on block down forward 1. So I hope that makes it clear on what differentiates a good down forward 1 from a bad, quote unquote, bad down forward 1. So -6 like Heihachi, DF1, Leroy, not so good, but characters like Lee and Leo have amazing down forward 1s. Okay, so going back to down forward 1 as being a study against your opponent. So what you want to do, right? You throw out a down forward 1, then you look at your opponent and say, what are they doing after I throw this out, right? So you're kind of using them as a study, right? Then what they do will then determine what your next decision will be the next time you throw out a down forward 1. So let's say I do down forward 1 here, and then Dragunov does a dick jab, because people do love their dick jabs and Tekken 8, very important. So what options do I have to beat this? I can do down forward 1 into low parry, because they did that the first time, so there's a very high chance they'll do it again. Down forward 1 hop kick, right? Down forward 1 sidestep, then punish them, right, with acid rain or sidestep hop kick, right? Because I know they stepped. So sorry, they dick jabbed. What if I do down forward 1 and then they do back 3? Dragunov's back 3 is a homing move, so this one, real quick, back 3, right? Very, very strong homing move. So if I do down forward 1, right, and then I'm stepping a lot, the opponent can counter what I'm doing. So let's say I did down forward 1 and then I stepped their dick jab the first time and then I hop kick them. They'll be like, okay, so he's stepping after down forward 1. The next time I do down forward 1, he's going to counter my step by doing back 3, right? So it opens up this mind game of what you are going to do and what they are going to do afterwards. But you don't always have to commit after down forward. Well, that's what makes it great, because it's -1, -3, so just check them and back away, right? They'll throw out the back 3, they'll be like, okay, so you thought I was going to step, and it just opens up this can of back and forth mind games, right? Now this can work to it can work to your advantage if you're making the best of reads, right? Because sometimes if you just do down forward 1 and they respect your down forward 1, that means they are giving you a turn, right? So down forward 1, then go low, because they're not pressing any buttons, right? Down forward 1, go low. Down forward 1, they start panicking, they'll start mashing buttons. Down forward 1 step, right? Down forward 1 into counter 8 bait. Down forward 1 counter 8 bait, right? Stuff like that. That's basic stuff of you actually studying your opponent. What are their habits? What are their patterns after you throw out a down forward 1? That's one of the most important use cases of down forward 1s in general. Secondly, I did say down forward 1s can be used for probing. Let's change the scenery a bit here. Let's look at another character like Lars. I do love me some Larzu, down forward 1, good like. Let's go into the stratosphere. Let's put a hand, bro. I want to look at drag, ugly ass. Wedding dress, Nina, still goated. So yeah. Down forward 1 is also used for probing. So what do I mean by this? Okay, so it's kind of what I talked about in terms of having a down forward 1 to study your opponent. Probing basically means you're looking for a way to open up your opponent, right? You're checking them, right? Someone is being a turtle, they're holding back a lot. Just go in, down forward 1, down forward 1, down forward 1. Then just study their habit, right? What are they mostly doing? If it's a turtle, they won't press that many buttons, bro. Like, you throw out so many down forward 1s, they just won't press anything because they're being defensive. It's a turtle, which is not that great in Tekken 8, but is still a strat. So what that allows you to do is know that, okay, you are mostly safe when you press down forward 1 because they are not challenging you. So that's what I mean by probing, right? You're probing them like, okay, bro, you're not pressing any buttons. Okay, I'm gonna start going low then, right? I'm gonna start going low. I'm gonna start going low. Then when they realize this, they'll realize, okay, I can't keep holding back for long. After he throws out a down forward 1, what do they start doing? They start mashing buttons. That allows now to start doing stuff like, down forward 1 step, right? Down forward 1 step arc blast, down forward 1 back dash duck, all the common strats you know about, right? Again, going back to the first part, notice what they do after you throw out a down forward 1. Then make your decision based on what they did the first time to counter their counterplay, basically. So probing is another aspect of what makes down forward 1 great, because there's no other tool again in the game that's as strong as checking with a down forward 1, especially in terms of frame data and a mid, right? Mids are very rare. Like fast 13 frame mids that are like -3, -1 are either non-existent or exclusively only belong to down forward 1, which allows you to actually do stuff like this. You're just probing them. Another aspect of down forward 1 is they are also mix-ups on their own. So let's take to Lara's here. So I did say down forward 1s have evolved over the years, mostly in Tekken 8. Honestly, almost every character now has an extension from down forward 1. Very few characters don't, bro. Almost the entire roster, bro, has extensions from down forward 1. So now down forward 1 as a mix-up. So it kind of works in the same sense as studying your opponent, right? Because remember I did say if you do down forward 1 and they dick jab, then you know they'll do that again. You can step and punish them. Certain characters that have extensions from down forward 1, for example, Lars has down forward 1-3, which is -12 on block. Not that great, but mid. So this is good if they are mashing buttons. Let's say their back is against the wall. Right, so I do down forward 1, right? Then you notice they're dick jabbing. Just throw the whole string, right? Then you get the full combo and they die, right? Basic example of them or you challenging them from you conditioning them to not press buttons after down forward 1, which I actually forgot to even mention. Down forward 1 is also a very strong tool for conditioning, but I will touch upon that as well. So he also has down forward 1-1, right, and down forward 1-1-3. Now, if they are jabbing after down forward 1, or just smashing buttons in general, then down forward 1-1-3 is a good option for Lars, or even just down forward 1-1, right? So this is what I mean by down forward 1s having that mix-up, because if they mash buttons, the whole thing is guaranteed in the case of Laz's down forward 1-1-3, right? So this makes your opponent have to worry about down forward 1-1, which is a high, mid-high, so they can duck it to counter it. If they start ducking, you can do down forward 1-3, which again is more effective at the wall. So you won't really have many mids like this that are as effective as down forward 1s with extensions, because again there are no mids that are 13 frame fast and -3 to -1 on block. Those exclusively belong to down forward 1. So as a mix-up, that's another option. We can also take a look at Nina, and this is what makes Nina one of the strongest freaking characters in the game. It's because what am I doing? Record. It's because of the mix-up potential she has from down forward 1, and she also has a -1 down forward 1, just like Lee. But unlike Lee, she has extensions for days, right? She can do down forward 1-4, last hit being a counter hit launcher, down forward 1-1+2. If you duck, she can do down forward 1, I think 1-1+2, which goes into her guns, which does massive chip when she's in hit, right? Down forward 1 into cancel, down forward into step mix-ups. Her options are unlimited as hell, and this is what makes Nina one of the strongest characters in the game, because only her can do stuff like this. Only her has extensions like this, bro. She's got so many options, it's very difficult. So in the sense of down forward 1 leading into mix-ups, Nina is the queen in this game. That's what Nina players don't understand when we talk about how Nina is so OP in this game. They overlook how down forward 1s work in the sense of mix-ups, right? She can have so many different layers. She doesn't even have to commit, right? Just down forward and back up, and she's still only -1, right? She's insane. So again, in the sense of mix-ups, that's how down forward 1s work. Let's talk about down forward 1 in the sense of baiting. I did say down forward 1s are strong for bait as well. So who can I use as an example here? Let's take a look at Raven, right? I'll just pick up my mains and show you guys what makes her down forward 1 so good. Now I need another hand here to look at. Let's look at Zafina, because she finest girl in Tekken 3. Okay, so baiting with down forward 1. So there's some characters that have a down forward 1 that has some really good spacing. So like Raven, for example, right? If I do down forward 1 at close range, it kind of leaves me on the same range, right? But if I do it at a certain specific range, like somewhere here, for example, right? Boom. Look at that space between me and Zafina that the down forward one leaves. That's a huge space to work with, and spacing again is one of the most important aspects of Tekken 8 neutral. So when I say this can be used as bait, right? I can just do down forward 1, and if they emerge, they try to challenge, right? What can I do? I can do backdash duck, right? And they duck. Let me just show you this as a scenario actually, because this one is not that easy to explain. So let me just put Raven here. I did make a video on backdash duck, so that also applies after down forward ones. So let's do this. Nice. Okay, so like I said, right, depending on the range of when you land that down forward one, I should disclaim that this does not apply to every character in the game. Characters like Raven and Dragunov have this down forward one that can create space depending on how far you do it. So those are kind of the exception. If I'm close, look how close this leaves me to Raven, right? But at the space, look how far that leaves him. So you can bait by doing down forward one at like max range and then backdash. And depending on what they throw out, it's most likely to whiff because it's a close range move they're going to throw out. Like if I do down forward one here, let's say against Jin, right? There's a very low chance like a Jin would do like a dive kick or like a forward 4 because I'm too close, right? I want to throw out a move that's good at that particular range. And that can be deceptive with Raven's down forward one because of the spacing, right? So they basically throw something like jabs or their own down forward one or like a down forward 2 or like a dick jab, right? Because they want to challenge. So if you know they're going to do that with Raven, right? I jab, I was in the right range. I jab, look at that, right? It acts as bait, right? Right there. I was too close. Yeah, that's space, right? So spacing is very important. It doesn't even have to be backdash duck, even just backdash into punish, like this, for example, right? Boom, nice. You see? My down forward whiffs because the range is very deceptive. This is what I mean by down forward one can be used as bait as well, but this one heavily depends on the character. Very, very important. You have no idea how strong spacing down forward ones are in this game. Even just Dragunov, just to show you guys, Dragunov's down forward one does the same thing as well. Dragur, nice. Okay, put Raven on block. So at close range, you see it even creates space, even at close range, right? So look at my foot, Dragunov's left foot, right? Very, very close to Raven's left foot as well, intercrossing. But when I do a down forward one, it leaves a space that lets me bait stuff. So at tip range or at max range, it creates more space. Like from here, for example, down forward one, you see, look at that space, right? Look at that space. Right? One of the best players at doing this is JDCR. You see him do down forward one, backdash duck or standing 2. Down forward one, side step duck or standing 2. Or even just down forward one, side step backdash duck or standing 1-2. JD is the king at doing stuff like this, right? Down forward one, backdash down forward 2, depending on what they throw out, which will most likely be a whiff if they haven't noticed the spacing correctly. So I hope that makes sense. That's basically, honestly, I think that's basically the most important stuff about down forward 2, about down forward 1. But let me talk about down forward 1 in the case of characters that don't have strong down forward ones, in the sense that they are not -3 or -1 on block and allowing you to move as much as you would with a character that has a down forward 1 that's only -1 on block, like Lee or Leo. So Leroy, for example, Leroy has a down forward that's -6 on block, so it doesn't give you that leeway that it gives Lee or Leo or Anna or Nina, right? His is -6. This is bad, boys. No description, but this is bad, right? Because this is easily losing a turn. Now -6 isn't bad, but it's not great. Okay, you can't compare -6 to -1 or -3. You can't just move as much as you would with a -6, because again, if they jab, that jab comes out at 4 frames technically, because the jab is a 10-frame jab, but since you are -6, that jab now comes out at -4. So you won't really have like that many frames to step afterwards or move afterwards. So in Leroy's case, right, Leroy has an extension to his down forward 1 with down forward 1 plus 2. But as you notice, right, this extension is -2 on block, which you want from a regular down forward 1. So what I said about Lee's down forward 1, about Anna's down forward 1, applies to Leroy, but it applies to him after his down forward 1 plus 2. So you can still move afterwards, right? You can still bait them, all the stuff about baiting, all stuff about backdash duck, reading your opponent, studying your opponent, probing your opponent. This works with Leroy, but after down forward 1 plus 2. So yeah, that's basically Leroy. Also has an extension afterwards, of course, if they try to mash buttons as another layer of mix-up. So you can do stuff like, down forward 1 plus 2, and then back 1 plus 2 as a frame trap, right? I don't want to turn this into a Leroy guide, but I'm just trying to just show you guys how different this works. So it makes you use the character differently. You can't use Leroy's down forward 1 as you would Lee or even DF1, right? Because again, -6 is not the same as -2 or -1 or -3. You don't have the same frames to allow you to move afterwards. So even DF1, right? So DF1's down forward 1 was nerfed in this game. It's now -6 on block. They kind of gave him an extension as a mix-up, right? Because people will be challenging down forward 1, this down forward 1 a lot. Like, you have to challenge this down forward 1, guys. -6 isn't really that strong, so you can steal your turn back easily. So for that, they usually give characters mix-ups or like very, I don't want to say strong but powerful follow-ups, like down forward 1-2 here, which is mid-high. As a mix-up, he has down forward 1-4. Kind of like Lars, but this is -13 on block. Not really that great. So again, you can't really use DJ's down forward 1 as you would Lee or Leo. That's basically it, boys. That's basically the principle of how down forward 1s work in this game and what makes it so important. Where is Leo at, bro? Let me just touch upon it one last time to make things clear, just in case you're lost, just in case I didn't make sense. So down forward 1s are important because these are mids that are -3 to -1 on block, which are very rare to come by in this game. Exclusively, you only find such frame data on down forward 1s, basically. So this is what you use to initiate your poking, to initiate your pressure, to probe your opponent, look for openings, study your opponent as well, to check your opponent and keep your mix-ups honest. That's something I forgot to mention as well. So for example, right, let's say you what's Leo's punish? 2-2, right? You get a punish, right? And you're +6 on hit. So this is Leo's advantage, for example. So as a mix-up, you can go for like a hell sweep, right? Or just a basic mix-up, or a down forward 2 if they do decide to duck. Because you're +6, you take the plus frames. Now, if your opponent makes a hard read, let's say you do 2-2, into down forward 4-1, they block it, they can launch you. Or they stay standing and they block you down forward 2, they can punish you as well. When they say you keep your mix-up on the down forward 1, that means the down forward 1 covers both options, right? Whether they duck to block the hell sweep or they stay standing in anticipation for the down forward 2, you throwing out a down forward 1 beats both of those options, and you are choosing not to take a huge risk on the mix-up after punishing with 2-2. That's what it means when someone says they kept their mix-up honest, because you decided to stay safe and not take that huge risk. Because yes, you are plus, but that doesn't mean opponent will not block this. You will get launched, right? Maybe a random hop kick. You just know how it is with Tekken 8. Random hop kick, even random power crash. If you go like down forward 2, that's down forward 2-2, down forward 1, you check it honest. Throw a power crash. Maybe you have enough frames to block in time, absorb the hit and block, right? So that's what it means to keep your mix-up honest. So probing, keeping your mix-ups honest, staying safe, studying your opponent, baiting your opponent as well, and just looking for openings is what down forward 1s are basically used for. This is like the glue to your approach in your neutral, guys. right? It's not a commitment, it's a study, right? You can easily just back away. Stay safe. It's up to you. You have the frames to move, you have the frames not to do anything crazy. It's all up to you, and that's what makes down forward ones great. I hope this makes sense. I don't know how else I can explain the power of down forward ones in Tekken. Any other questions, boys, do let me know. I did talk about how other characters don't have the generic down forward one. So even Brian, for example, his down forward is completely different, right? You just don't use it the same. His is like a hit confirmable too, right? So characters that have like weird down forward ones usually have a move that's similar to a down forward one, but just don't work the same. For like Brian, for example, he has a down forward 2, which is like his version of down forward 1, but he has mix-ups because he has a counter hit follow-up if you mash buttons, or a high follow-up, but this is basically like a down forward 1. So characters like King as well has the same thing. Who else? Maybe Fakumram, right? So not every character has that generic down forward 1. So anyway, boys, I really hope that makes sense. If you do have questions, please don't be afraid to ask. Boys, a favor, if you've made it this far, please help your boy get to 9k by the end of the year. I only need about 40 subs, boys. Please do subscribe to your boy. Help me get to 9k by the end of the year. Don't forget to like as well. It helps with the algorithm, helps me get this video to a wider audience, and just help your boy grow, boys. Help your boy grow. Thank you so much as usual. And again, any questions, don't be afraid to ask, boys. Knowledge is free. Knowledge is power. So I'm here for you, right? I'm here for you. And thank you, boys, and take care. GG.